I will tell you guys, I'm a skeptic. I really am, but there's just some things that are going on that we can't explain. I got some really good video evidence in this one, so you're going to want to stick around for it. Let's do it. So welcome back to the channel, guys. This is Wes, the Suburban Viking. Of course, we got Dave here with us, and we are Midgard Axe. Now, I know you guys have clicked on this video because you want to hear about my haunting and what's going on with my house again. This is a part 2. If you haven't seen the first video, go back. It's far down in the playlist. I will tell you guys, it's got some great experiences, great stories, and some great video evidence in it. But I will tell you guys, the audio sucks. That was back when I was using the internal mic. So if you can power through the audio, there's some really good stories, and it does tie into this video here, okay? Now, before we get into what has been going on since that video, I do want to give you guys an update on the channel. I did rehaft the AX1, the Beavercraft AX1 onto the Helco Vutter handle, so look forward to this video coming up soon. This thing feels great in the hand. I can't wait to throw it. We do have some evenly distributed weight here, but man, this thing feels good. I knocked that knob down, and hold on, I got a spider on my handle. I knocked the knob down on the handle here, so it's going to give me a nice streamlined feel out of the hand, but this thing feels awesome. About 3/4 of an inch longer than it originally came, but all in all, it's looking really good. The Rinaldi Carpenter's Axe, the final video, my final verdict on that. If you should get one and redesign it, hafted on another handle. I've filmed that one already. That one should be dropping soon. I am working on the double bit. Some of you guys have been asking about some double bits. I do have the Ned Foss double bit Viking, the Thor axe in the shed, hafted on a new handle. I've got a really cool handle design for it. You'll just have to wait and see it. It's going to be a really cool handle design. Hopefully I can finish it tomorrow, and maybe I can put that axe with this axe together in one video and throw them both. That would be really cool to do. I know some of you have probably been wondering where I've been at. I was putting out a lot of content. I was creating a lot of content, and then kind of things went off. Kind of went silent for a little bit. As you guys know, my grandmother passed away, but I will tell you guys, keeping it kind of, friends and family on here, like I always say, our family, guys, we just hit rock bottom. I mean, when you hit that spot, when you hit rock bottom and you don't think you can get any lower, we have. Things have just been really stressful around the house, financially, and emotionally, with family members passing away and just all kinds of different stuff, guys. My daughter's a year old now, and she's going through different things, keeping us up late at night, and you guys know my work schedule's crazy. So we've been trying to adjust with everything, and the way this economy is, guys, it's just horrible. You guys know that when the last 2 free giveaways that I gave out, the DeWalt hatchet and the Fisker's hatchet, guys, I put them in boxes, very thin boxes, almost the same length, 14-inch long cardboard boxes about this thick. Do you know, to send both those axes out, it cost me $100 in shipping? Not each one, collectively. It was $50 some for one and $40 some for the other one, guys. $100 to ship those 2 little hatchets out. Like, what in the world is going on? So, that's another reason why I haven't been doing too many free giveaways, just because things are so daggone expensive, and now shipping's getting outrageous. So I'm still going to do free giveaways. I just probably won't do them as much as I have been, just because it's really expensive, guys. I end up spending over $100 to review and send out a free giveaway on a $30 axe. I mean, it's crazy. So, I am going to do free giveaways. I'll probably just pick my axes a little better. As far as what's coming up, like I told you guys before, I've got a couple different things in the queue, and I also, over the past few weeks, I've been collecting a lot of store-bought axes to throw in the series. Our hardware store hatchets, good enough for axe throwing. I've been collecting a bunch of them, and I've got a bunch of them in the shed, so look forward to that. And I'm also going to start filming some more how to throw an axe like a Viking, because I've got a ton of stuff to talk about with that. So I'm going to space that one out too and give you guys some more pointers if you're interested in throwing axes like I do. So without further ado, though, let's get into the ghost stories and the haunting of my house and what's been going on since the last video. So in the last video, I left off with my daughter, who was around 5, I think, months old at the time. My youngest daughter. If you guys don't know, I got 4 kids, 14, 12, 9, and a year-old. And things have been going on in the house for years. Like I said, if you want to know what's been going on up until this point, you need to go back and watch the other video. That one, it's lengthy. It's about 40 minutes long, but it's got some good video and good audio coverage. It's just got a lot of good stuff in it, guys. So go check out that video and then come back and watch this one. So what's been going on since the last video? Okay, so everything kind of really did quiet down for a while. We really didn't hear much of anything. Nothing really had been going on. Little things here and there, but nothing to really get all crazy about, okay? I will tell you guys that the first thing that kind of started back up is that, as you guys know, I moved rooms, and I have new backgrounds for my YouTube videos from the last time I made that haunting video. And I asked my son, I said, do you want to move rooms? Are you okay moving in that room? And he said, yeah, I'm fine with moving in that room. Now, if you guys remember, I said in my last video that I didn't experience anything in that room per se. It was only with the door locking and unlocking when I would come and go, but nothing ever happened in that room. Well, we switched rooms. We didn't switch rooms. He moved in that room. I moved into another room and redid that room. I will tell you guys and give you an update. My son has not experienced anything in that room since moving to that room last year. He hasn't experienced nothing. Nothing has gone on with him. He hasn't experienced anything. And if you guys remember, I told you in that last video at the end, I felt like that everything was kind of starting to center around me, and it was kind of leaving everybody else alone. And that's kind of what's been going on. Ever since I've moved into that new room, guys, with the new background filming, one of the reasons why I filmed out here, I'll be honest with you, is because just about every time I film something in that room, something happens. Every time I film. It's not when I'm in there just doing whatever. It's when I'm filming. I have had to cut out things in just about every video that I've made in that room. There's something has happened in a video. And I didn't want to make this channel all about that. I literally could document everything. And going forward, I'm going to. Because I'm tired of always saying, oh, there's something going on, but never getting it on video. So I'm going to start documenting what's going on in that room. One of the things, there's a lot of different stories, but I'll tell you one story in particular. There was the video that dropped where I did the axe drop video, where I brought out the Holtbrook Agdor axe, and I brought out the two cold steel, I can't remember what they were called, the two polymer handled cold steel axes, and then this axe here. That video where I axe dropped all those axes. In that video, I was telling you guys at the beginning about my experience with the World Axe Throwing League axe handles and what I thought about them and so on and so forth. In the middle of stopping, I didn't stop the video, I stopped talking to start unveiling the axes to you guys on camera. Now, I have my light like I do here, but it was on my right side, and right behind my light is a table that sits right there where I stand at when I do some of my first impression videos. And I have stuff sitting up on that desk, I always do. And I always put stuff up on that desk when I'm filming, because I'll grab it and then kind of set it back up there and, you know, kind of go back and forth when I'm doing takes and in between takes and stuff. I was getting ready to start with the first axe. I had pulled it out of the plastic and I was looking at the camera and I was getting ready to start doing stuff with it. And I heard something rustling behind the camera to the right on the table. I could barely make it out. I mean, I could see it, but it was, you know, the light was in my face. So I'm kind of looking and I'm like, what in the heck is that noise? Guys, as I'm sitting there talking, I can see something kind of come up in the air. Then I see it fall onto the table. I hear it hit the table. It bounces off the table, hits the ground, and then bounces off the ground. And I'm thinking to myself, what in the hell was that, you know? I'm just kind of sitting there in shock, like, what the heck? Now, guys, as you know, in the last video, I said I haven't really seen much of anything. Other than a doorknob shaking, I really haven't seen actually anything, an apparition. I haven't seen anything. This was my first experience seeing something actually move, lift up and move. So I kind of sat there for a second, and I got up and walked over there, and it was a leather sheath. Guys, that leather sheath literally came off the table, probably about 6 inches, fell back down, hit the table, rolled off the table, and then bounced on the ground. There was other things around that sheath, and nothing else moved. It didn't roll off the table. I saw it come up, hit the table, bounce off, and then hit on the ground. Just craziness, guys. I have no explanation as to how that could have happened. Could it have rolled off the table? Of course. It could have slid off. Other things around it would have slid off. Maybe not. Maybe that just slid off. But guys, I have no explanation as to how it lifted itself off the table. I could clearly see it. It was 2 feet behind the camera to the right. I could see it. Just craziness, guys. I have no explanation as to how that could happen. No explanation. Another story that actually happens quite frequently is that after we put all the kids to bed, me and my wife will always kind of go in the living room, hang out and talk, or whatever the case may be, watch TV, whatever. We've noticed lately that it's particularly after we put Freya, our youngest daughter, excuse me, when we put her to bed is when we notice things. Everybody will be in their rooms and we'll put her to bed because sometimes she stays up late. Her sleep schedule's off right now. We'll put her down late and everybody else is already asleep. And me and my wife will be sitting there on the couch and we'll hear, like I've told you guys before, we'll hear people talking. And we'll kind of look at each other and go, who's talking back there? And I'll get up and I'll walk back there and kind of look around and don't see anything. And I'll go in the other kids' rooms. Their TVs are off. Their phones are off. There's nothing going on. They're asleep. And I'll come back in the living room and I'll go, there's nothing going on back there. There's nobody back there. And I'll come back and I'll sit down and we'll start talking again. And then we've started hearing a woman's voice, a very soft, adult woman's voice. It's loud enough to hear, but you can't make out what they're saying. It's like that echo that's coming down the hallway. A couple nights later, same thing happens. All the kids go to bed. We put Freya to sleep kind of late, and we're sitting there and we're talking, and we hear a door open in the hallway. I'm thinking it's one of the kids. It's actually my oldest daughter's the only one down that hallway with her. And I'm like, well, maybe it's, her getting up to come into the kitchen. Maybe she's coming to get some water or whatever. So we're all, me and my wife are sitting there on the couch anticipating hearing her, come down the hallway and come in the living room. Nothing. And I looked at her and I said, you heard that door open, right? And she was like, yeah, I heard it open. So we're just sitting there, and I'm not thinking maybe she's, doing something else. And all of a sudden something just comes running down the hallway. Doom, 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 doom. And it gets right to the entrance to the living room. And guys, we're up against the couch. We can't see down the living room. We have to kind of like look this way to look. And we're expecting something to come into the living room, and it stops right at the entrance of the living room. Now, guys, I've gotten to the point now to where I don't sit around and wait anymore like I used to, in the sense that like when something doesn't make sense anymore, I jump up and I run. I investigate. So as soon as whatever it was came to the edge of the living room and didn't come in the living room, I literally jumped off that couch and made my way around the coffee table to the hallway. Met with nothing. There was nothing there. Something that my wife's been experiencing in the middle of the night. I don't hear it, but she's hearing it. In the middle of the night, she's experiencing hearing someone call Mom. Mom. She said she can't tell if it's a child's voice or not, but she wakes up. She said something wakes her up. And as she wakes up, she's sitting there, she's awake, and she hears, Mom. And she starts calling out the kids' names because she doesn't want to get up. She's tired and she's laying in bed. Nobody responds. She gets up and she goes and investigates. All the kids are asleep. Now, I am skeptical with certain things, guys. I tell her maybe they were, dreaming and they're talking in their sleep. Totally possible. Totally possible. But she says it's happened quite a few times now, and every time she investigates, kids are asleep. So we can't explain that one. As far as the feet running down the hallway, guys, I don't know how to explain that. There is no way to explain it. It's clear as day. You can hear someone running down the hallway. It's not AC coming on. We have hardwood floors. You can literally hear someone running down the hallway. Skeptical, yes, but I can't explain it. There's no way to explain that. You can hear it echoing into the hallway when those footsteps happen. So I don't know how to explain that one. I really don't. One thing my daughter and I, my youngest daughter Freya, do is we kind of do this thing where we touch fingers together. I've taught her that. And she'll see me and she'll stick a little finger out and I'll come up and I'll put my finger against hers and we'll touch them together, and she smiles and I smile, and she really enjoys it and has a good time with it. Starting to freak me out a little bit with that. And the reason why it's starting to freak me out, now guys, I am skeptical. It could mean nothing. It could. but I've been catching her in the living room when she's sitting in the floor playing with her toys and I'm in the kitchen. It's open so I can see right to her. And she'll be playing and all of a sudden she'll stop and she'll look up and she'll start babbling and then she'll laugh and she sticks her finger out like this. And then she doesn't just stick her finger out. She'll stick her finger out and then she'll kind of retract it back really fast like something touched it. And she's been doing that a lot lately. And it's usually when she's by herself. It's never when we're in the room with her. If we're kind of like off to another room and, you know, we can see her, of course. You know, I'm in the kitchen or my wife's in the kitchen and we'll kind of keep our eye on her while we're doing stuff. We'll kind of look over at her and we'll see her doing it. But it's only when she's by herself in a room. I don't know how to explain that. Could that just be her imagination? Of course it could. And I totally, like I said, totally skeptical, and that could be what it is. But it's just something else that adds on to the unexplainable as to what's going on in this house. I don't understand it, guys. I really don't. Another story was when I was filming one of my videos in my room. It was really late at night. Everybody was asleep. I had been coming in and out of the room before I started filming to grab water or whatever the case may be, just kind of making my way back and forth before I got set up to start filming. I set up everything, started filming. In the middle of filming, I believe it was with the Helkoverk, the Rhineland hatchet. I believe it was that video. In the middle of filming it, the first impressions, I'm talking, and there is a knock at the bedroom door, because I always shut my bedroom door when I'm filming. There's a knock at the bedroom door, and I yell out, "Yeah, what do you need?" Nothing. And I was like, oh, maybe it was my wife telling me to be quiet, because I can be a little loud in my room, guys. I talk a lot and I talk loud. So I was like, well, maybe she's telling me to be quiet. So I kind of lowered my voice. If you guys notice in that video, my voice is pretty low. It's because of that. When she originally when that knock originally happened on the door, I thought it was her telling me to be quiet. To, you know, when she knocked on that door, I thought she was telling me, hey, quiet down a little bit. So if you watch that video and you notice my voice is a little low, that's why. So I quieted my voice a little bit, continued filming, knock on the door again. So at this point in time, I'm kind of like, okay, what's going on? So I kind of put the hatchet down on the table, made my way around the table, go to the door, open it, nobody there. That's weird. So I go into everybody's bedroom and, you know, kind of like, were you knocking on my door? Were you knocking on my door? Everybody's asleep. No one's awake. I go in each person's room, say their name. They don't even respond to me. My wife's dead asleep. She's in there, you know. She's not even close to being awake. It was clear knocking on the door. I mean, I know what knocking sounds like, and I could hear it on the door. It wasn't on the wall. It was on the door. You can tell the difference between a knock on a wall and a door. You could, looking at the door when it was being knocked on. Open the door, there's nothing. And guys, it took me like a whole 2 or 3 seconds to get to the door. And I would have heard somebody walking away when I got to the door. We have hardwood floors and they creak and they make all kinds of noise. I mean, you walk barefoot in that house. You can walk with socks on a house and hear somebody walking. Heard nothing when I went to that door. No idea. Now the next 3 stories are a little nuts. They're a little crazy. And I don't know how to tell you guys anything other than to just hear me out. One of them is insanely creepy. The other 2 I've actually got video evidence on, and you're going to want to sit down and listen to these 3 stories because they are super creepy, and I've got some evidence for 2 of them. Got some more wood on the fire, guys. I really enjoy doing fires this time of year. It's in the high 50s, low 60s at nighttime. You can sit really close to it, won't get burned, but you know, it's not too cold outside, so perfect weather. So getting into the first story. The first story follows the day after I did the first impressions on the Husqvarna hatchet. If you guys don't have that hatchet, go check it out. It's a pretty good hatchet. So I had done the first impressions video on it, and I had planned on, it was like the day after that, I had planned on doing the filming of me throwing the actual Husqvarna hatchet. But I wanted to do a few things to it prior to throwing it. That evening, it was around 9:30. Everybody was kind of tired. I wasn't tired at all. As you guys know, I work nights and days at my job, so I can be kind of a night owl. And it's not uncommon for me to stay up kind of late. As you guys have seen in other videos, you see me out here late at night working on axes. That's kind of what I do. So that night, it was around 9:30. I had kind of touched with everybody. Sorry, I thought I saw something over there. I think it was headlights. I had kind of got with everybody and was like, hey, you know, what are you guys doing for the rest of the evening? Everybody's like, we're going to bed, we're tired. My wife said she was tired. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to go out to the shed over here, this shed right here, and I'm going to stay up kind of late and work on the Husqvarna hatchet. The reason why I wanted to do it is because I wanted to film the next day throwing it, and I didn't want to have to work on it. I just kind of wanted to wake up that day, grab the hatchet, go outside and throw it, okay? So it was around 9:30, and I decided that I was going to go ahead and make my way out to the shed. I grabbed everything I needed to grab, and I started to make my way out to the shed. Got out to the shed, started putting stuff, in its place and getting ready to start working on the hatchet, and I realized I had forgot my speaker inside. As I made my way back out of the shed, this is important, as I made my way back out of the shed, I remember thinking when I stepped out here, things out here felt weird. The backyard, the feeling of the backyard had changed. I didn't notice anything, like visually or anything. I remember looking around, but I just remember that it felt different out here. I don't know how to explain it other than just had a different feeling. Kind of shook it off, but in my head, at this point in time, guys, I'm paying attention to everything. Made a mental note of it, went in the shed, got my speaker, came back out, started working on the hatchet inside. Now, the first thing that happened when I started working on the hatchet was I started working on it, and I don't have power out there. I have a really long extension cord that plugs into the back of the house outside and runs all the way to that shed. That's how I get power. So I have my work light set up in there on a splitter off of an extension cord that I'll plug my Dremel tool into, or I'll plug my work light into, all kinds of different tools that I'll plug into while I'm out there working. So I get set up and I'm working on the hatchet, and the light goes out. Now guys, it's around like 10:30 at night. It's pitch black. And I'm like, shit. Now I will say that breaker does trip sometimes, and that's what I was thinking. I thought that breaker tripped. So I opened the doors to the shed because I had shut them because it wasn't like super cold, but it was a little chilly. I wanted to try to keep the warmth into the shed. Opened the shed doors, made my way up here, this way towards the house, to go inside and see if the breaker had tripped. And I remember thinking when I came out, I kind of was looking at the extension cord as I was walking. Don't know why, I just was. Just something else to check as I'm walking towards the house. I almost get to the back steps to go inside to check the breaker, and I kind of look over. The extension cord is out of the outlet, laying on the ground. Somehow it's made its way, it's unplugged. Don't know how, don't know why. Again, made that mental note. Hey, I don't know how this got unplugged. Now, mind you guys, the extension cord is so long that it is coiled up down there by the steps, and then it plugs in. So even if I was to grab that extension cord in the shed and pull it 5 feet, I still got another like 10 or 15 feet coiled up down here. It wouldn't have pulled out of the outlet out here. It's impossible. So I made my way over there and I plugged it back in, and I went ahead and checked the breaker anyway, and it wasn't tripped. So I just, that's why, the light went off. The extension cord came out of the back of the house. So I made my way back out of the steps and started walking across the yard to make my way back over to the shed, and I remember thinking, man, that's weird. I don't know how that happened. No explanation for it. I checked the extension cord on the way back to the shed, didn't notice anything, didn't see anything where it had like coiled up together. It was pulled taut, but it wasn't like extremely tight. And, I didn't notice anything with it, so I made my way back into the shed, shut the doors, and kept working. Started working, guys, and then within like 30 minutes of being in the shed, I hear boom, thunder off to the distance, and I'm like, oh man, there's a storm rolling in. Within like 10 minutes of thinking that, guys, all hell broke loose. It was just thundering and pouring its ass off. Just pouring its ass off. Lightning, thunder. It was lightning so bad, guys, I could see it through that little small window in my shed in the back. It was just lighting up that section of the shed. It was so bright. Never lost power. I was really concerned that we were gonna lose power, but we never did. And kept working. Didn't think anything of it. The whole time was like, man, I'm gonna end up losing power, but I didn't. Storm rolls off, passes. I can hear it make its way past the house, and everything's calm. Everything's calm. Nothing's going on. I'm standing at my metal workbench, which is on the left side of the shed. I'm facing the left side of the shed, working on the Husqvarna hatchet, and I remember I was working on the cheeks at the time, and I was kind of thinning them down at the time, trying to get everything a little thin, because those cheeks on that hatchet, guys, are pretty thick. And as I'm working on it, I hear a doom up against the side of the shed on the wall. And as you guys know, if you look over there, you've seen that during the day, there's nothing on that side. There's actually nothing on any sides of the shed except for the wood that's piled up right here. And at that time, I didn't have that wood chopped up on the side of the shed yet. So that wasn't even there. There was nothing around the shed at the time. And I kind of flipped around and looked at that side of the shed, and I was like, that's weird. I mean, it was a distinct boom. I kind of sat there for a minute just kind of listening to see if I heard anything else. Nothing. So I went back to working on the hatchet. And at this point in time, enough time had gotten by that I had finished the cheeks and I had started working on the actual bit itself. And I was working on it with my whetstone. And I remember I was working on it with whetstone. Was working on the 250 side because it's green. And I remember, the bit turns green and then the 1,000 grit side is brown. And I was working on it with the green side. And I had it in the vise and I was working on it. And I went to turn around because I needed to file it down a little bit more, and the whetstone wasn't doing what it was taking too long with the whetstone. I needed the file. So as I turned around to go to the right side of the shed now to get my file out, where I had been standing at looking at my my workbench. As I was looking at the workbench, I turned around, and as I made my way to my tool chest to get my file out, boom, up against behind me now where I was just standing at. So I kind of flipped around. I was like, okay, something's going on here. This is twice. So I came over to the doors. These are double doors they open. And I kind of opened up one of the doors and kind of peered out and didn't notice anything. Didn't notice anything at all. Kind of looked out, it was wet out here, but didn't notice anything, and kind of was like, okay, well, maybe something's hitting, maybe there's a bat up there. I don't know, guys. It could be anything. I didn't really put too much mind to it at first because I was like, okay, I don't know what it is, but it's only just one big bang. Not really worried about it at this time. Went back to working on the hatchet. Got down to the handle, and I needed to put color on the handle. I wanted to put some trans-tint dye, that mahogany brown dye on the handle, and I remembered I needed some gloves. So I kind of turned around to the front, towards the front of the shed where my gloves are, made my way over there, and then I heard two loud boom, boom, up against the back of the shed where the window is. At this point in time, I didn't stop to sit and look. I ran towards the back of the shed, and if you guys remember, when it was lightning and thundering, I had raised the window up so the back window was open at the time. And I kind of looked to the left, looked to the right, didn't see anything outside the shed, and I was like, maybe I should stick my head out there and look. And I was like, nah, no, I'm not doing that. I don't know why, but I was like, I'm not sticking my head out there. So at this point in time, I was like, okay, 1 wrap, 2 wraps, now a double wrap on the back of the shed. Somebody's out there. That was my immediate thought. Somebody's out there at that shed. At this point in time, guys, I will tell you, at this point in time, I'm kind of over stuff happening because a lot of it's unexplainable, and I'm just getting to the point where now I'm confronting things. I'm like, okay, you want to do this? I'm going to confront you. So at this point in time, I said, okay, this can be either one or two things. Either what I think's going on in the house, has something to do with that, or somebody's out there messing with me. I've got beater axes out in that shed. Guys, I've told you before, I've got the cold steel Viking axes. I've got 3 of them now, but at that time I had 2, and they were my beater axes, and I had them in my shed. And I was like, you know what, enough's enough. I've had enough. I'm going to go confront whatever's going on out there. So I'm looking for the axes, and I couldn't remember where I placed them, and I'm looking around, trying to find them. Work light goes out. Now I'm standing in that shed, pitch black, dark as hell outside, and now I have no light. Awesome. So I was like, you know what? I'm done. So I grab my phone, turn the flashlight on. I'm looking. I find the axes, put my phone down, grab the axes. I've got one in each hand, and I'm done at this point. I'm pissed off. I'm angry. I'm just kind of over stuff at this point. I make my way to the middle of the shed and I'm kind of going through things. Now, guys, this all happened within like 15 to 20 seconds. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a statement when I come out of this shed. I know that sounds ridiculous and it sounds stupid, but at this point in time, guys, I didn't care. I was over it. I'm done at this point. You're fucking with me out here, and I'm just done. I'm done. Have an axe in each hand, make my way to the middle of the shed, and I'm standing there and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm making a statement. I'm coming out. I'm coming out hot. And if you guys have ever watched the movie 300 with Gerard Butler, where he kicks the Persian at the beginning of the movie, the Persian comes, the messenger, and he's talking to Leonidas about, what the king of Persia, the Persian king wants him to do, submit to them and all this. And he, this is Sparta, and kind of front kicks him down into the well. That's how I felt that night. Threw both my axes back, as far back as I could get them, and I booted those doors open with one kick, and those doors come flying open, and I came to the edge of the shed, and I'm standing there. I'm just expecting to come into something, to meet something there. Something's going to be there. I don't know what, but I'm ready for it. And the first thing that I noticed when I booted open the shed was that now all of a sudden the backyard felt like it was about 15 degrees cooler. It was really cold out here at that time. And I had peered out the door previously after the second knock, and the door was kind of open a little bit, cracked. I could feel that it was chilly, but it wasn't as cold as it is now. And guys, we were talking like 10 minutes had passed since that happened. And I was like, there's no way that the temperature dropped that fast. Maybe. Theoretically, yes, because a storm came through, it could have brought a cold front. I get that. But the weirdest part about it is that as soon as I kicked the door open and was standing there, the entire backyard back here was covered in fog. I mean, it was thick to the point where I could barely see the back of the house from standing right there where those doors are. I could barely see the back of the house. And guys, the back of the house from us is probably about 15 feet. And I thought that was strange. I remember thinking that's a little weird that there's this much fog that fast, so thick. So I had an axe in each hand. I came out, looked at the fog, and for some reason I decided to turn left. Coming out of the shed to the right, looking at the shed, I came right to the side over here. And I made my way around the side. Now guys, this was heavy fog. When I got around to the side over here, looking down that side of the shed, towards the back of the shed, if you guys ever walked through or moved your hand through smoke or fog, you know how like when you move your hand through like fog that's kind of just sitting there, or smoke that's just sitting there, when you move your hand or you move your body through it, your body will kind of capture the fog or the smoke, and it'll kind of bring a trail with you as you walk through it. As I looked down the back of that shed, that's what I saw. A trail of smoke or fog that was about human height. I didn't see anything, but it was about human height down to the ground. A fog was rushing to the back of the shed. My immediate thought was somebody just ran around to the back of the shed. So I hauled ass around to the front, made my way around this left side, and I got about halfway down the left side when I realized that the fog was now trailing behind where the round target is over there. And I remember looking over there and I was like, well, I didn't see anything come around the corner. But I could see, like, it was about human height down to the ground, rushing, fog rushing. But above it was still, which I thought was strange. And I'm standing there and I'm like, what in the hell is going on? So I was like, well, I need to make my way to the back of the shed. At this point in time, I know I need to go back there. So I make my way to the back of the shed, both axes in my hand. And at this point in time, guys, I'm over it. I'm even more pissed off now. And I'm like, you know what? Screw it. We're doing this. So I make my way to the back of the shed, throw my axes out, and I'm standing there like this. I make my way around to the back of the shed. I turn, nothing. And I'm standing there, and out of my peripheral, up high, I can see something moving. And I remember, it felt like I was in slow motion. I don't think I was, but it felt like I was in slow motion. I kind of look up, and there's a huge barn owl just sitting on the top of the shed, just sitting there staring at me, looking down at me. And I'm looking up at him and he's looking down at me, and we're just sitting there staring at each other. And my immediate thought was, it was the owl. Perfect explanation. Before I could even like hype myself down and calm myself down from this, I kid you not, guys, that owl looking down at me turns his head like this and now starts looking about 4 to 5 feet to my left. He didn't look up. He's looking down. He just moved his head. And he's looking about 5 feet to my left. And I remember thinking, there's something fucking there. Oh, God, I get goosebumps just talking about it, just thinking about it. My eyes start watering. And I remember, this is going to sound so stupid, but I remember grabbing my axes harder, and I was like, here we go. I remember thinking that. I said, here we go. Oh, man, it gets me every time. And I whipped around to my left. Now, guys, this is important. When I walked back there and met the owl and was looking at the owl, there was about a 10 to 12 foot section around me at this point that was perfectly clear. It was like a wall of fog had surrounded this area. So in the wall where I was standing at was a circle. It was perfectly clear, but there was a wall of fog where you couldn't see past, about 10 foot around in diameter. That's important. And the reason why it's important is because as I turned to my left to look to see what was over there that the owl was looking at, right on the edge of that wall of fog, it was about my height, from about mid-chest down was all dark. I could see shoulders, arms, shoulder blades, back of its ears, and a really long ponytail. Really long. I'm talking to the middle of its back. And it was so vivid that I could make out that it looked like it may have been braided. The hair was braided, but I did notice, and this is how distinct it was, is that it looked like it had ties in it. Every like 2 or 3 inches there was a tie. And the reason why I noticed that is because the hair would kind of poke out like this, and then it would come into a tighter area, then would poke out and then would come into a tighter area, poke out and come into a tighter area. And as I was trying to gain all the features of what I'm looking at here, it slowly makes its way into the wall of fog and I lose it. And guys, I'm not kidding. I didn't even wait. I took off. Right through that wall of fog, made my way right through it, came out on the other side of the fog right here in the backyard back here, made my way all the way back there, got through the fog to the other side. Nothing. No fog, no nothing. And I'm literally at this point in time, guys, I can feel my heart literally about to beat out of my chest. And I'm just like, what in the hell is going on? And I'm looking around the backyard back there in that deep backyard, and I'm looking and I'm looking and I'm looking. I don't see nothing. After standing there for about, 10 seconds looking, I turn around to where I was just at, and there's a wall of fog right here on the back. A wall of fog. And I'm like, what in the fuck is going on? So I make my way through the fog again into that circle area that's right here in the back. Make my way to that circle area, and I noticed that the fog now is still there, and I'm still in this clear section. The owl was gone. I looked up there, the owl was gone, but I decided to make my way back over here in front of the wood target, the round wood target right here, and I started walking over here to my setup over here that you guys see in my videos now with the hanging target and the wood round that swings. I made my way over here to my neighbor's yard and I got out of the fog. But I was walking a line of fog. I made my way to the front of the target where I normally film at. Got to almost where that side tree is. I make my way out of the fog, turn around, look, there's a wall of fog. Make my way to the back of the house, make my way to the driveway. Look down the street. There's no fog anywhere. I turn around, look back this way from my driveway over there, this way towards the shed. There's a wall of fog about right where I'm sitting, right in front of it. Can't see the shed. Make my way around to the back of the yard over here, looking this way, wall of fog. Walk through the fog, make my way back over there again. Guys, there is a circle of fog around my backyard and nowhere else. Nowhere else. Nothing. I walked the entire yard, walked up to the front of the house, looked everywhere, walked back over there again, looked at everybody's yard. Nobody had fog except for me. And it was a big ring around this backyard. That is the first time I've actually seen something, apparition, whatever you want to call it. I know what I saw. And there's no way to describe other than what I've described it as. There's no way. It's not my eyes. Guys, I get my eyes checked. The last time I had my eyes checked was 6 months ago. I've got perfect 20/20 vision. I've got nothing going on with my eyesight. I know a lot of people say if you see things like that, go get your eyes checked. You could have some stuff going on. Nothing. I've got nothing going on with my eyes. I have perfect sight. I don't know how to explain it other than that. I saw what I saw, and I can't explain it. But I saw it. It looked like a Native American. To be honest with you, that's what it looked like. If I had to put anything on it, it looked like an Indian, a Native American. I could be wrong, but that's what I kind of felt when I was looking at it. I don't know how to explain it. After that, guys, I started questioning a lot of things. I got into a really deep thing with questioning myself, questioning the meaning of things. If you want me to be honest with you guys, I'll be honest with you. I started questioning faith. I really did. Started questioning, and guys, I have nothing against anybody that believes in anything. I have friends that are pagans. I have friends that are Christians, Catholics, Methodists, Presbyterian, anything you can think of. I've got friends that practice certain things. I'm only a man. I can't judge people. I'm friends with everybody. So I don't have any hate, nor do I judge anybody based on their religion. But I was questioning things hardcore. I really was. After seeing that, I didn't feel that it was a sign of any type of religion or anything. I felt uneasy. I felt like I'm in a war, struggle, whatever you want to call it, with something going on here. It doesn't feel malevolent. It doesn't feel like it's threatening me. It feels like it's trying to tell me something. And like I told you guys in the last video, it feels like it's trying to get me to see something. It's trying to get me to know something. I don't know. Nobody in the house feels scared. Nobody in the house feels like it's trying to harm us. It feels like it's trying to get our attention. It's trying to prep us for something, show us something. I know that sounds crazy. People are going to think I'm nuts. I'm telling you guys, that's what it feels like. I started questioning a lot of things. And this is where I'm going to roll in some crazy stuff. Video footage here on out for the rest of the video. Pictures and video footage. I started questioning things for a long time. This happened a while back, guys. This happened months ago, and I had been questioning things around here, and our family were hitting rock bottom, and I just got into a real bad low. I really did. And I'm not afraid to tell people that. I'm not perfect. I have highs and lows, and you guys have witnessed my low when I wasn't putting out content. Things got low, and dealing with everyday struggles with the economy and everything, and family members passing and all this, and then having to deal with this too on top of it. Now that things have escalated to the point where I'm seeing actual figures. Guys, I was done. I told my wife, I said, I don't know what to do. I felt helpless. Don't anymore. And I'll get to why I don't anymore. But at that point in time, I felt helpless. I really did. Didn't know what to do. At this point in time, things are escalating where I'm seeing stuff. My wife is kind of looking at me like, I don't know what to do either. We're at a point in our lives where we're like, this needs to stop because we can't handle this too. I woke up one morning and kind of made my way to the front of the house and walked out the front door and was standing out front. I was wanting to film a video throwing axes, but I just didn't have it in me. Just didn't have it in me. I decided I just wasn't into it. I kind of looked up and was like, when's enough going to be enough? And I know you're not supposed to do that, but I had had enough at that point. I was like, are you testing me? Like, what's going on here? Are you putting me through some type of trial and tribulation? Or are you, at least give me something. Tell me that you're, helping me. And when I looked up, guys, I'm talking about God. And, I'm looking up and I'm like, you got to give me something here. Give me something. I wasn't asking for proof of existence. I wasn't asking for proof that he's real. I'm asking for a sign to show me that everything's going to be okay. Give me something here. Just tell me something. And don't make it subtle to where I'm not going to see it. I need a definitive thing. Now, I know that's a lot to ask. But at this point in time, guys, I didn't care. I need something. And I need it kind of now. I made my way to the back of the house back here. It was 10 o'clock in the morning. Made my way to the back of the house. I got about 2 feet behind where the camera's at. And all of a sudden, this dove flies out of the tree at my feet. I'm talking at my feet. And I stopped and I was like, this dove's going to fly away as soon as I move. And I kind of did a test. No, just sat there and stared at me. Literally sitting on the ground staring at me, looking up at me. Wasn't moving, just sitting there staring at me. And I was like, man, this thing's scared to death. I done froze it to death. No. The dove stayed around all day, walking around with me. If I went over to the side over there, to the side of the house where I filmed throwing axes, it would fly over there to me. I tested it. I walked back and forth, and it just kept flying around me. I yelled inside for the kids to come outside, and I told the kids to grab my phone. Because at this point in time, guys, I've decided that going forward, I'm going to record everything. I'm not going to sit in the awe and watch it and listen to it. I'm going to get everything on video. If it's audio, if it's video footage, I'm going to get everything. I want to document all this stuff going forward. I'm going to get everything I can on camera. They came outside, and I'll roll in the pictures now of what we took. Guys, this bird literally landed on my shoulder and hung out on my shoulder for 30 minutes, just sitting there. I walked around with it on my shoulder. It just hung out. My daughter, Freya, my 1-year-old, was able to feed it out of her hand, feed it carrots and grapes. I got pictures with the other kids. It just sat here all day with us outside, like it was one of us, just hanging out. And as you guys know, the dove is a symbol for a lot of different things. It's supposed to be God's bird. If depending on what denomination you come from, they talk about it being God's bird. The Native Americans saw it as a symbol of something. A lot of different religions see the dove as a symbol of peace or forgiveness or a new beginning, or some religions even think of a family member that has passed that's come back to visit you. Oddly enough, my grandmother had just passed too. At that point in time, guys, I told my wife came outside and she stood at the back door and just stared at me like I was crazy as this bird is sitting on my shoulder, and she is in awe. I know it's not something that is uncommon for a bird to act that way around people, to act that way, to sit on people's shoulders, to get near. Animals do crazy things. I'm a hunter. I know animals do crazy stuff. So that's not uncommon. I'm not going to say that that's uncommon. But guys, I literally asked for a sign 10 seconds before that happened. It was nuts. I've never had that experience. We sat out here with that thing for hours on end until the afternoon. And I remember I picked my daughter up. It was time for her to take a nap. And I looked at that bird, that dove, and I said, you need to go. You can't hang out here. The cats are going to get you. You need to go. You need to fly away. Go back home. As I grabbed Freya and picked her up and said that to that bird, we were making our way to the back door. The bird, I heard fluttering, looked up. The bird takes off down that way. in the air. Gone. Never seen the bird since. Craziness. Craziness, guys. Craziness. Alright guys, so here comes the last story I'm going to tell you that's happened since filming this video. I've got video evidence of it. In no way, shape, or form did anyone tamper with this video. As you can see in the video, my two kids, my youngest son and my oldest daughter, are in this video with us. They were present during what happened. My fire's going out, so I'm going to try to make it fast. And I'm going to roll some video in of what happened, what I captured. I was in the kitchen one night around 8:30, 8:45. We have clear bottles. We have about 7 of them. There's 6 of us, guys. There's a lot of us in our house. We drink a lot of liquid. And my wife went out and got these clear bottles that have these white screw-on tops that have a flip lid on them. We put all kinds of stuff in them. Water, apple juice, cranberry juice, anything you can think of, we put it in there. And we've been using these jugs for months and months and months and months. Went into the kitchen one night at 8:45. Grabbed one of the jugs out of the refrigerator and poured myself a glass of water. It was empty. I sat it on the counter. Ironically enough, there was another jug sitting next to it that had chocolate milk in it that my son had just finished off. He put it on the counter. I put my bottle next to his, started drinking my water, walked out of the kitchen. About 15 minutes later, I heard what sounded like a voice coming from in the kitchen, and I was in the living room. I heard a male's voice saying something. It was like I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't a chant, so to speak, but it sounded like it was the same thing slowly over and over and over again, enough to where I was like, what in the hell? So I jumped up and ran into the kitchen. And I'm standing there kind of looking around. And as you guys will see, let me roll in the video of what I caught. What the hell? That's weird.
Someone go get mommy.
Funny.
No, I'm not.
Dude, that's fucking weird.
I wasn't sure.
There's nothing in it. It's empty.
Why is it going up so high?
I don't know.
Here.
Shh. Don't say anything, stop. What the hell? How is that even doing that?
I don't know.
You guys stand right there.
Wait.
Because I don't want anybody to think that we're doing it.
I'll put your hand in.
What the heck?
Wait, show the whole room.
Yeah, I mean, there's nobody doing anything.
Oh.
Let me get close to it. It was water that was in that.
I also trying to look now.
Now guys, I will tell you, when I was standing there drinking my water, I heard the first click. I didn't know what it was. I turned, was looking like, what in the hell was that? I don't know what that was. Kind of drinking my drink, looking around, and then I heard the second click, and as I did, I saw movement with my eye over there. That's when I noticed what I just showed you guys on camera, what we caught. Immediately pulled my phone out, started recording, called my two kids into the kitchen with us. And as you can see, it was their idea to put their hands up as it was happening. Now, you guys can make a determination that, scientifically speaking, there could have been gas that was trapped inside that bottle. But I will tell you guys that it was water inside the bottle. We've put stuff in that bottle before, nothing's ever happened. And if you go back and watch it again, you'll notice that it wasn't the same type of opening and closing. It would open, it would close itself. It would open, It would close itself. Then all of a sudden, as you guys saw in the video, it would violently open, pop itself open, and then slam itself shut. So it wasn't a constant up and down, up and down, up and down. It would take longer at certain times. Other times it was faster. Other times it was a really hard open and then a hard close. Guys, we sat there and videoed that thing for like 5 minutes. There was only 2 minutes of video because I stopped recording because it was the same thing over and over and over again. What I didn't get on video, and I wish I would have, was when I stopped recording, I picked up the bottle, turned it upside down, the flap opened its own by itself. I dumped whatever I could out of the bottle into the sink, set it back up on the counter. We all stepped back, started doing it again. Kept doing it for like another 7-8 minutes. It's never happened again. And we still using those bottles. Still putting water in them, still putting juice in them. They're still sitting up on the counter when they're done. They're empty. They'll sit up there for 2 or 3 days before someone gets to them to clean them. And no one's ever experienced that again. We haven't seen that again. It hasn't happened again. I don't know. Could that be a freak scientific thing that water was trapped in the lid? There was gas buildup, of course. And I am willing to admit I am skeptical in that. But guys, it doesn't account for why it would change the way it opened, why it would violently open and then violently shut. And then it did it for a total of like 13 minutes. And it never slowed down. And then it just stopped. It wasn't like it slowed down and then stopped. It was like boom, 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 and then it just stopped. I'm telling you guys, there was no gas in that bottle. I checked. I turned it upside down. I poured anything I could out of it. As you saw, you could see there was condensation on the inside of the bottle. It was water. That's what I had poured. And there was a bottle next to it that had a little bit of milk left in it. We've never experienced that before, and we haven't experienced it since. I don't know. I don't know what that was, but it freaked us out pretty good. So that's pretty much what's happened since the last video. I will tell you guys that things aren't as frequent as they were, but they're more bold now. Things are really trying to get our attention. Seeing that thing in the backyard, guys, I don't know what that was, but I feel at peace after that dove came down. I feel like I got an answer, somewhat. That everything was going to be okay with my family, that everything was going to be okay with what we're experiencing, and that I'm supposed to be experiencing what I'm experiencing because it's going to, eventually, I'm going to be able to figure this thing out. I know there's some people out there, why don't you move? As you guys heard in the first video, I've experienced this in other houses. I don't think moving is going to fix anything. I don't feel like it's trying to hurt us. I think something's trying to tell me something, I just don't know what. I don't know what it is. But we're steadily experiencing things. It's just now they're getting more bold. They're getting more prominent, and they're very like in your face now. There is no, oh, it could be this, it could be that. Like we are actually seeing things now that happen and hearing things that we just can't explain. So going forward, I'm going to start recording everything that I experience as fast as I can. I'm going to pull the camera out and start recording. Hopefully I get some good stuff on camera. If I don't really have anything other than stories to tell you guys, it'll probably be a while before I make another one. I really want to be able to bring you guys evidence, true, real evidence that I can show you guys and say, here's my experience and here's the evidence. Because I can make videos all day long with stories. And there's going to be people that are skeptical. Even if I provide evidence, guys, people are going to be skeptical, and that's okay. But I want to bring something with these stories to make things seem like I don't know what it is. You know, like bring it to you and go, here's the story, here's the evidence. Help me. Help me with what you guys think. Tell me, guys, what you think in the comment section, what this stuff could be that's going on. Do you have any experience with this thing? Like I said, I've experienced this in other houses. I don't think it's the house per se. I think it's me. My wife never has experienced anything before she met me. And of course the kids, guys, they've experienced stuff because, you know, they're my kids. So I smile only because I feel at peace now with it, in the sense that I'm not scared. It doesn't scare me. I'm wanting it to happen in a way, not to my kids, not to my wife. I want it to happen to me because I want to figure this thing out. I want to know what's going on, and I want to confront it. I want it to stop running. I want it to stand its ground and let me interact with it and figure out what's going on, if it is something. Everything could be explained, I guess. I don't know about the leather sheath falling. I don't know how to explain that back there. I don't know how you guys can explain that to me. Everything else I could be skeptical about. But those two things, the bottle maybe, but the sheath falling, raising itself in the air, and then seeing that thing back there, no way. Sorry, but there's no way anyone's going to tell me I didn't see what I saw. So if I have any more stuff happening, I'll bring it to you with some evidence, hopefully. But thanks for watching. I'm not crazy. But I'm going to continue to bring you what I got. Come back. We'll throw this one soon. Maybe I'll film it tomorrow. And hopefully I can get the Ned Foss double bit finished too. We can throw that one with this one in the same video. Italian Rinaldi Carpenter's axe, guys. What a great axe. That's all I'm going to say. Come back and watch the final video. And then we'll get rolling into fall. Come into the start of winter. And I'll be out here throwing. Hopefully it snows this year. Haven't had snow in a few years. I think we haven't had snow since 2021. Last time it snowed here. Hopefully we get some snow this year. I can throw axes in the snow. Been looking forward to that. So, but thanks for all your support. Thanks for understanding why I took a break and why I needed to focus on family stuff and get stuff straight. I'm not quitting. I'm never going to quit. I'm going to keep making stuff. I just ran through some hard times. So thanks for sticking around. I really do appreciate the people that stuck around, didn't leave. As you guys know, I really do appreciate you guys, friends and family on here, and treat you guys like that. I'm always going to be honest with you, so I appreciate everybody that stuck around. The emails that people were sending me and the texts that people were sending me checking on me, I do appreciate you guys too. And if I don't get back with you immediately on an email or a text, I will eventually. I'm just busy, guys, but thanks for all your support. Thanks for sticking with me, but until next time, see you guys.